Simple Suttas, a podcast on original Buddhism. Visit us at simplesuttas.wordpress.com. The Dhammapada. The Dhammapada is the most famous collection of early Buddhist poetry. It's also one of the most beautiful. It is probably the best place for someone new to the Dhamma to absorb some words of the early teachings. The text itself is mostly a collection of his greatest hits from other places in the suttas. It's not so much a collection of suttas as a collection of short poems. Part of what makes it so beautiful is that it can be so profound. Take, for example, the opening stanza. All experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Speak or act with a corrupted mind, and suffering follows, as the wagon wheel follows the hoof of the ox. This translation was by Gil Fronsdal. It's a lovely verse and a good translation, but there are dozens of translations. Here's one that's a little more direct. We are what we think. We are what arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you, as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart. Translation by Thomas Byram. And here's one that's more wordy with lots of explanation. All that we experience begins with thought. Our words and deeds spring from thought. If we speak or act with evil thoughts, unpleasant circumstances and experiences inevitably result. Wherever we go, we create bad circumstances because we carry bad thoughts. We cannot shake off this suffering as long as we are tied to our evil thoughts. This is very much like the wheel of a cart following the hooves of the ox yoked to the cart. The cartwheel, along with the heavy load of the cart, keeps following the draft oxen. The animal is bound to this heavy load and cannot leave it. Venerable Varagoda Sarada Tero. Now clearly, this is not a direct translation of a 4-line poem, but it does get the message across. Poems in general are compressed and powerful, but of course that can make them difficult to translate. The metaphor in the second half of the verse is clear enough, but those first few lines are trickier. Here are a few more possibilities. Preceded by perception are mental states. For them is perception supreme. For perception they have sprung. Translation by Mahinda Palahawandana. Preceded by mind are phenomena, led by mind, formed by mind. Translation by Glenn Wallace. What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. Juan Mascaro. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. Max Mueller. Mind is the forerunner of all actions. All deeds are led by mind, created by mind. Malangoda Ananda Maitreya. Phenomena are preceded by the heart, ruled by the heart, made of the heart. Thanissaro Bhikkhu. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. Acharya Buddha Rakita. Mind precedes its objects. They are mind-governed and mind-made. John Richards. Wow. So is it mind or heart? Phenomena, objects, actions, or experience? Clearly, there's no universal agreement. This is why sometimes it's impossible to take at face value when someone argues this is what the Buddha taught. We have trouble agreeing on what he even said. And of course, what translators want him to have said can make a huge impact on how they decipher the text. Here is the, quote, translation from the deplorable bare-bones Dhammapada by Ty Sheridan. Everything luminous mind. Ego invites anguish. Blech. This is not a translation. It's a scam, a lie. It's putting words in the mouth of the Buddha that undermine his actual message. This is supposed to be the entire verse. Nothing about oxen here, but plenty of room for luminous, which is plainly not in the original. So what does it actually say? The original Pali is mano pubangama dhamma, mano setta, mano maya. 4 words. Shouldn't be that hard, right? Here is what a literal word-by-word PTS translation gets us. Directed by mind, doctrine or nature or truth or experience, mind is best, mind made. I think it's translations like this that explain why some later traditions love to play with confusion, mystery, and paradox. They got the mistaken impression that the Buddha loved to play with these things because the translations that came down to them were so confusing. The Buddha at heart was all about clarity and precision. Anyway, let's take that first translation and refine it a little. One key word is mano. The usual translation is mind. Thanissaro Bhikkhu's translation of heart is a bit misleading because it really means the thinking faculty. At the time of the Buddha, the thinking organ was thought to be the heart, not the brain. But in any case, mind is a better translation. The next key word is Dhamma. Dhamma is notoriously broad in Pali. It can mean teaching, as in the Buddha's Dhamma, or fundamental law, or even experience. In the Abhidhamma period, it came to mean mental object, or even just object. In fact, it's sometimes almost indistinguishable from the Greek idea of atoms. The translations we have so far include experience, the self, mental states, and phenomena. The self and other similar things is clearly wrong. There's nothing here about self. Mental states and phenomena are closer but a bit off the mark. They're relying on the Abhidhamma version of Dhamma that's different from the Sutta original understanding. The best translation here, I think, is experience. Throughout the suttas, the Buddha teaches that everything we know or can know comes from the experience of the senses. Where else could it come from? Every time the Buddha goes on a tear talking about the 6 senses, you can be sure he is reinforcing this basic teaching. A quick scan will show you that some translations have already completely missed the boat or are off doing their own thing completely divorced from the original texts. This leaves us Pubangama, Setta, and Maya, all of which modify mind. Pubangama is something like directed or preceded, so all Dhamma is preceded by or directed by mind. Setta means best. Manosetta is something like led by mind or ruled by mind. And Manomaya is straightforwardly made by mind. So this gets us, all experience is directed by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Some of the above, like the Franzdal and the Bukharita, are quite close. Some are off the mark, like the Mascaro, and some, like Sheridan, appear to be working from a completely different text. One last word on this. I don't claim that our little translation is perfect or best. It's a poem, and they don't call it poetic license for nothing. I think a decent argument can be made that I have it wrong after all. If you look at the next couple of lines, the mind being discussed now seems more like moral compass than faculty of thinking. The best works of art keep us thinking, keep us talking, keep us working. They don't let us off the hook easily.